going on, world? It's Alex Acosta, and I'm back with another fun, quick, and easy tutorial inside of Vegas. Now, I shoot all type of productions. Could be music videos, documentary, podcasts, anywhere from 1 camera, 5 cameras, 8 camera setups. When you start adding more cameras, there's a lot more difficulty of things that could go wrong. Battery misplacement, framing's not right, tripod missing, etc., etc., etc. So you would hope at minimum, if something is wrong in the camera on set, you could at least fix it in post. And I'm gonna talk to you about 2 common mistakes that I often run into and how I fix it in Vegas. Now, it's always better to show than to tell, right? So here's my camera, about 60% built. I don't have the monitors or all the bells and whistles on it, but I wanna show you a very crucial piece of equipment for me, and it's called a time code box. I have mine on this one right here, but I have an additional one to show you. And plenty of times on set, I use them all the time, but there's been tons of times that I haven't, or I was in a rush and I didn't triple check that it was active or it was on or properly given the right time. And I'll show you how in Vegas it saves my life, or when I don't use it, how it's also a big headache. All right, so now we're inside the timeline and I want to show you an A/B camera setup. This is a 2 camera setup for a 1-person interview, and the subject matter right now is Flow Rider. Small disclaimer, Flow Rider just came out of a flight. He was in a rush, had to knock this out. So don't judge me when you see his microphone just outside of his shirt. We know we're supposed to tuck it and do all that cleanups and all that, so don't judge me when you see this part, okay? Okay, cool. So now that we're here, first thing I'm gonna do is highlight both clips in Vegas, right click, and I go down to media time code. Now, before I click that, if I didn't have the time code box that I was showing you, I would have to drag the clips in here one by one. And then once you get your second clip in there, you would look, if you did slate, you will look for the little marker on the slate, which I knew right here was that. And you manually look for the second one, right? Which is about right there. Now, let's just assume that I didn't have a slate or audio wasn't on. How else would I know where these clips belong? So this is where my time code box comes in. I'm gonna delete these tracks right here. Assuming we're gonna start from scratch, I'm gonna highlight it, right click, and lay out tracks using media time code. The second I hit it, bam. You see it's laid out, and it's laid out precisely how I need it to be. Now I know the audio was recorded to track 1 here, so I can get rid of this one here, delete, right? And what I'm gonna do is right click on this right here, and I'm gonna go to channels, and I'm gonna go to channel 1. Channel 2 was my backup. That was a safety. If Flow Rider maybe laughed too loud, clapped or something, and it clipped, I knew I had a safety track. So I can go to track 1, and bam, there he goes right there. And I could delete this. Let's bring this in. And as we go anywhere on the timeline,
you gotta put the blinder.
You see, and I can hit mute. By the way, if I hit M over here, which is mute, it mutes the original timeline that you hit M for, which in this case is the top camera, which is camera A, and it's gonna show me whatever the next on the lower level is, which is camera B. So as I go here.
You gotta put the blinders on.
And just for reference, I'm gonna jump over to a new timeline. Again, this is a second interview here. I was doing a different documentary here, and you see I highlight the 2, and I hit media time code, and bam, she is lined up. We do the same thing. We go to channel 1, because I know that's where I recorded the audio to. I can get rid of the second one. And if I didn't want to get rid of it, I could just hit mute once again, and that can mute it there. And I play it.
Met when we were 10 years old in ballet class.
And there you go. So now where the issue lies on that is if I'm doing 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras and you don't have a media time code in there, and you don't have a software such as Vegas that could detect it. So when you just click it, they all just line up for yourself. Can you imagine manually trying to do all that, the time it would take to make sure everybody's in sync? So I'm glad for, again, a software as Vegas that they have that built in there where it just saves my life. So thank you, Vegas, for that part. Now let's stay right here in the same interview with Flow Rider, and I'm gonna talk to you about my second issue, which is framing. Often when you shoot more than 1 camera, you're gonna change the angle a bit. Right now I'm talking to you with kind of a wide or a mid, but that's 1 camera. And the second camera angle, I might use a tighter lens of 50 or 85, and it'll just get maybe just my face. But what if that shot has too much headroom or not enough headroom? That's usually an issue I run into when I use 2, 3, 4, 5 camera setups and I didn't glance at everybody's shot, or I don't have a wireless device to see everyone's shot. So again, this is another situation where I can come into Vegas and adjust the frame to how I need it to be. This first shot I do like, it was cool, but on the second shot, you see how he's not framed to the right, which here, if you follow the thirds, if I put, by the way, if you come here to Vegas and you hit these overlays buttons, it'll show you here how to do it. And you could also change the box areas to how you want it, different things. Right here, I have the safe grids. And at the moment, we're thinking back to the grids, but we can save that for another thing. That was just like a 2.1 little tip and trick right there. So right here, he's more framed to the thirds. We know this is half right here. He's more framed to the third side. And then right here, he's more so in the middle. So we get rid of the grids, and I want it to kind of be the same, and I want the head level. We see here he has a lot of head space, and here not so much. So I want to match it, so if we was to cut in the interview, it looks synced. So in this case, let's go to this wide shot. Let's hit crop, and what we're gonna do is zoom in. Now the benefits of shooting 4K is you could punch in a bit, and you won't lose the quality. So that's a good trait there. Now, of course, I wanted to lose some of the headroom, and I zoomed in a bit. Now I know his second shot, he's a little forward. So what I wanna do is bring this shot a little bit more close to center stage. And again, remember our mute button. We're gonna go back and forth with the M right here, which helps me out. So he's still, the headroom helped a little, but he's still kind of centered in that second one. So what we're gonna do on the second shot, sorry. So I'm gonna give him a little bit more headroom. Let's get the headroom done first. Okay, the headroom looks about even. Now, we're gonna go to the second shot, and I'm gonna punch in a bit, which I know is gonna affect the headroom. Hit mute again, and I'm going to bring him back a bit, right there. Now let's hit unmute. Yep, and we are really, really, really close. Let's go back to the top track. All right, zoom in a tiny bit, a little bit more. Tiny bit more headroom. Are we there? Yes. I'm gonna say that's close enough, right? And go one more up. Yes. So now, as I play his interview,
Most definitely, you'll get some collaborations. We have some
and I'm gonna hit mute.
right now that we've done already. You know, it's just during the pandemic. You know, we had a lot of chance to.
And that, my friends, is how I solve 2 issues that I go through a lot on set in Vegas: time code and framing. And you guys seen how simple that was. But me also knowing this and how many times I go through this, I do have a checklist on set, mentally and physically. So it's not like, hey, Alex, why do you go through so much on set? That you know, if you go through this, adjust it on set. I promise you, when you're the director, producer, editor, and all these things, a million things is going on set. You are checking these things, but the slightest thing could happen, as you all guys know who on set, and it just throws to chaos. So thankfully, those common issues I go through, I'm able to adjust inside of Vegas. Hope you learned something today. Hope you have a better checklist than me maybe at times, but I appreciate everybody's time. In the meantime, between times, your boy signing off. Holla. Yeah.